Meghan Markle is paying the high Hollywood price of toxicity. In the wonderful world of entertainment, you can bob.
One day, Meghan Markle didn't know that a camera was quietly recording her, and what she did next left everyone in awe. It all happened at a private charity gala, hosted in a stunning venue in New York City. The grand hall was filled with a warm, inviting glow, with elegant chandeliers casting light across the room, which was bustling with celebrities, philanthropists, and influential figures from various walks of life. This wasn't your typical red carpet event. The guest list was kept strictly confidential, and everyone invited had a reputation for making a difference. Meghan, known for her advocacy work and her previous life as an actress, was a centerpiece of attention. Dressed in a sleek, understated gown, she radiated grace and poise, seamlessly blending elegance with an approachable charm. Her every move seemed deliberate yet effortless, capturing the attention of everyone around her. Keep watching. Because what Meghan did when a complete stranger walked in will leave you speechless. What Meghan didn't know was that hidden cameras placed discreetly for security purposes were recording everything. One such camera, cleverly tucked behind a beautifully arranged floral centerpiece, had its lens trained on the main floor, capturing the unfolding events. As Meghan mingled with guests, exchanging pleasantries and sharing laughs, a young woman entered the room. She was visibly nervous, her simple yet tasteful dress contrasting with the formal attire of most guests. Her posture gave away a mix of awe and unease, as if she couldn't quite believe she was there. Heads turned as she hesitated near the entrance, scanning the room, perhaps looking for someone specific, or summoning the courage to step forward. Meghan noticed her almost immediately. While others whispered or speculated about the newcomer, Meghan's face softened. She gave the woman a warm, encouraging smile, a silent invitation to approach. The young woman hesitated, clutching a small notebook in her hands, but Meghan's reassuring gaze seemed to give her the confidence she needed. "Come join us," Meghan said warmly, as the woman carefully stepped closer. Her tone was genuine, instantly putting the young woman at ease. Despite the ongoing conversations around them, Meghan gave her undivided attention, a rare quality in a room filled with influential personalities. The young woman introduced herself in a trembling voice. She explained that she was a community organizer from a small town, working on a project aimed at providing better access to education for underprivileged children. She had poured her heart and soul into this initiative, but admitted that she was struggling to gain the necessary support and resources. Meghan listened intently, her eyes never leaving the young woman's face. Her genuine interest was palpable, and her presence felt comforting, as if she had all the time in the world to hear her out. As the young woman spoke, Meghan occasionally nodded, asking thoughtful questions that encouraged her to share more. "What inspired you to take on this project?" she asked, her tone reflecting not just curiosity but admiration. The young woman began to relax, her words flowing more easily as she described her journey, the challenges she faced, the moments she doubted herself, and the dreams that kept her going. Meghan's thoughtful posture appeared to boost her confidence, and soon the two were deep in conversation, drawing the attention of others nearby. You'd be shocked to find out what Meghan did next. Sensing the young woman's unease in the crowded room, Meghan gently suggested they move to a quieter corner. "Why don't we step over there? It'll be easier to talk," she said with a kind smile. Together they moved to a cozy nook near a large window overlooking the city skyline. Once seated, the young woman shared more about her initiative, explaining how she aimed to create free after-school programs that incorporated arts and technology into the curriculum. She spoke passionately about the impact this could have on children who lacked opportunities, her voice trembling with a mix of hope and urgency. Meghan leaned in, her expression thoughtful. "This is incredible," she said, her voice steady and encouraging. "It's clear you've put a lot of thought into this. Tell me, what's been the biggest hurdle so far?" The young woman hesitated for a moment before admitting that funding was her greatest challenge. She had approached local businesses and applied for grants, but found that most people didn't take her seriously because she was so young. Meghan's face softened further as she listened, her empathy evident. Then something unexpected happened. Meghan pulled out her phone, scrolling through her contacts. "I know a few people who might be interested in supporting something like this," she said. "Let me make a call." As Meghan dialed a number on her phone, the young woman sat there wide-eyed and stunned. She couldn't believe what was happening. Meghan Markle, someone she'd only seen on TV or read about in magazines, was genuinely taking an interest in her cause, and now she was reaching out to her connections on her behalf. This wasn't something the young woman had expected when she nervously stepped into the event that night. Meghan spoke calmly and confidently into the phone, describing the project in a way that made it sound even more impactful than the young woman had managed to convey herself. "Hi, Lisa," Meghan said, smiling warmly as she spoke. "I'm sitting here with someone you absolutely need to meet. She's working on a project that focuses on education for underprivileged kids, using arts and technology to empower them. It's exactly the kind of initiative that aligns with your foundation's mission." The young woman could hardly breathe. Not only had Meghan remembered every detail she'd shared, but she was now passionately advocating for her cause as though it were her own. After a brief conversation, Meghan hung up and turned back to the young woman, her smile reassuring. "Lisa is incredible. She runs a foundation that helps young people get their ideas off the ground. I told her all about your initiative, and she'd love to set up a meeting with you." The young woman stammered a thank you, her voice thick with emotion. Meghan placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Don't thank me yet," she said with a soft laugh. "This is just the beginning. Now tell me, what's your next step? How can I help you prepare for that meeting?" You won't believe what happened next. As they spoke, Meghan began to jot down notes in a small leather notebook she carried with her. She asked the young woman to explain the logistics of her idea, how she planned to implement the programs, the budget she envisioned, and the long-term goals she hoped to achieve. Each time the young woman hesitated, unsure of how to answer, Meghan gently guided her. "It's okay to not have all the answers right now," she said. "This is a process, and no one expects you to have it all figured out at once. But the fact that you're here tonight, sharing your vision, shows how much this matters to you." As their conversation deepened, it became clear that Meghan wasn't just offering fleeting words of encouragement. She was actively investing her time and energy into helping this young woman succeed. The two worked together for over an hour, crafting a rough pitch and brainstorming ways to make the initiative more appealing to potential investors. Meghan even shared insights from her own experiences with charitable work, recounting stories of the challenges she'd faced and the lessons she'd learned along the way. One story in particular seemed to resonate deeply with the young woman. Meghan described a time when she had been working on a similar project that focused on women's empowerment in underserved communities. She spoke about the initial skepticism she'd encountered and how she'd had to fight to get people to take her seriously. "People will doubt you," Meghan said, her voice firm but compassionate. "But that doesn't mean your vision isn't valid. If anything, it means you're doing something bold, something that challenges the status quo. And that's exactly what we need more of in this world." The young woman nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. She had never felt so seen or supported before. Meghan's words weren't just inspiring, they were grounding. They reminded her that even someone as accomplished as Meghan had faced her share of obstacles and had pushed through them with determination and grace. By now, the other guests at the event had started to notice Meghan's focused interaction with the young woman. Whispers began to circulate, and a few people even tried to edge closer, curious about what was happening. But Meghan paid them no mind. Her attention remained solely on the young woman, as if the rest of the world had faded away. At one point, a staff member approached Meghan to inform her that the event's host was looking for her. There were people waiting to meet her, they said. People who had flown in from all over the country just for the chance to speak with her. But Meghan politely declined. "Tell them I'll catch up with them later," she said, flashing her signature warm smile. "Right now, I'm in the middle of something important." This small act spoke volumes about Meghan's character. It wasn't about rubbing shoulders with high-profile guests or securing photo ops for her public image. It was about genuinely connecting with someone who needed her help and making a tangible difference in their life. Keep watching to see how this incredible story unfolds. Eventually, Meghan's commitment caught the attention of a prominent journalist who was covering the event. From afar, they snapped a photo of the two women deep in conversation, Meghan's hand resting lightly on the young woman's arm as they shared a laugh. The image, though taken without their knowledge, would later go viral, sparking countless headlines about Meghan's humility and kindness. But at that moment, neither Meghan nor the young woman was aware of the camera's presence. They were too engrossed in their conversation, too focused on the work at hand to notice anything else. As the evening wore on, Meghan made another call, this time to a friend who specialized in nonprofit fundraising. "She's brilliant," Meghan said into the phone, "and I think her idea has real potential. Can I connect you two? She could really use your expertise." The young woman sat in stunned silence, her heart pounding in her chest. She had walked into the event feeling like an outsider, unsure if she even belonged in a room filled with such accomplished individuals. And now, thanks to Meghan, she was walking away with connections, resources, and a renewed sense of purpose. But Meghan wasn't done yet. "Here's my email," she said, scribbling it onto a piece of paper and handing it to the young woman. "Keep me updated on your progress, and if you ever feel stuck or need advice, don't hesitate to reach out. I mean it." The young woman could hardly speak. "I don't know how to thank you," she finally managed, her voice barely above a whisper. Meghan smiled, her eyes soft and kind. "You don't have to thank me," she said. "Just promise me one thing. When you're in a position to help someone else, pay it forward." As the young woman carefully tucked the paper with Meghan's email address into her clutch, she couldn't help but feel overwhelmed. What had started as a night full of nerves and self-doubt had turned into something she could never have imagined. Meghan Markle, one of the most recognized and admired women in the world, had taken the time to sit down with her, listen to her story, and offer her real, tangible help. It felt almost surreal, like something out of a dream. The two continued their conversation, and Meghan's kindness didn't stop there. She gave the young woman tips on how to structure her pitch, how to build her confidence when speaking to potential supporters, and even how to handle rejection. "It's going to happen," Meghan said honestly, "but every no just gets you closer to a yes. Don't let it discourage you. Use it as fuel to keep going." The young woman nodded, trying to soak in every word. She'd always admired Meghan for her work as a humanitarian and her efforts to use her platform for good, but seeing this side of her, the warm, patient mentor, was something she hadn't expected. Meghan wasn't just giving advice, she was sharing her own experiences, the moments that had shaped her and taught her the value of persistence. "You won't believe how this story unfolds. Keep watching to find out. By now, the buzz around the room had grown louder. Guests were whispering to one another, trying to figure out what Meghan was doing and who the young woman was. A few even tried to approach, hoping to join the conversation, but Meghan politely waved them off, keeping her focus on the young woman in front of her. It was clear that, to Meghan, this wasn't just a fleeting interaction. It was a chance to make a real difference. At one point, the young woman hesitated, her hands fidgeting nervously as she spoke. I don't know if I'm good enough to do this," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "Sometimes it feels like I'm in over my head, like I'm not smart enough or capable enough to make this work." Meghan leaned forward, her expression soft but serious. "Let me tell you something," she said. "I've felt that way too, more times than I can count. When I was starting out as an actress, I heard a lot of no's. And when I began my work with charities, there were moments when I thought, who am I to take this on? But do you know what I realized? It's not about being perfect or having it all figured out. It's about showing up, doing the work, and believing in what you're trying to achieve. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to care." The young woman's eyes filled with tears, and for a moment she couldn't speak. No one had ever said something like that to her before. Meghan's words were like a lifeline, pulling her out of the sea of doubt she'd been drowning in. And then something happened that caught everyone's attention. Meghan reached into her purse and pulled out a checkbook. She scribbled something quickly, tore out the check and handed it to the young woman. "This is to help you get started," Meghan said with a smile. "It's not a loan, so don't worry about paying it back. I just want to see you succeed." The young woman stared at the check, her hands trembling. She couldn't believe the amount written on it. It was more than enough to fund the first phase of her project. "I can't take this," she said, shaking her head. "It's too much." But Meghan waved off her protests. "You're not taking it," she said. "You're earning it. You've put so much heart and effort into this project, and I can see how much it means to you. This is just my way of saying I believe in you. Now, use it to make your vision a reality. Keep watching to find out what happened next." The young woman finally accepted the check, tears streaming down her face as she thanked Meghan over and over again. It was a moment she would never forget, a moment that would change the course of her life forever. And while she couldn't have known it at the time, it was also a moment that would go on to capture the attention of millions. Unknown to Meghan and the young woman, one of the event organizers had noticed their conversation and also decided to capture it on video. The footage wasn't meant to be invasive. It was simply a way to document the inspiring things happening that night. But when the video was later uploaded to social media, it also went viral. The clip showed Meghan and the young woman deep in conversation, their expressions full of warmth and determination. It also captured the moment Meghan handed over the check, a gesture of kindness and generosity that resonated with people around the world. Headlines like, "Meghan Markle's Secret Act of Kindness," and "How Meghan Changed a Stranger's Life in One Night" began to dominate the news. But along with the praise came speculation. Who was the young woman? What was the project Meghan had supported? And why had Meghan chosen to focus so much of her time and energy on this one person? The internet exploded with theories, memes, and endless commentary, turning the quiet act of kindness into a global talking point. Stay tuned for how the story continues. Meanwhile, the young woman found herself thrust into the spotlight. She started receiving calls from journalists and messages from people all over the world who were inspired by her story. At first, it was overwhelming. She wasn't used to so much attention, and she worried that people might focus more on Meghan's involvement than on the work she was trying to do. But Meghan, true to her promise, stayed in touch. She sent the young woman encouraging emails, checked in on her progress, and even offered advice on how to handle the media frenzy. "Stay true to yourself," Meghan wrote in one email. "Let the work speak for itself. People will always have opinions, but what matters most is that you're making a difference." With Meghan's support, the young woman began to thrive. She used the money Meghan had given her to launch the first pilot program, which provided free after-school workshops in art and technology for kids in underserved neighborhoods. The program was a huge success, and soon, other organizations began to take notice. Donations started pouring in, allowing the young woman to expand her work and reach even more children. But what truly set her apart was her willingness to give back. Inspired by Meghan's example, she made it a priority to mentor others, sharing her story and encouraging them to pursue their dreams, no matter how impossible they might seem. As time passed, the young woman's initiative grew beyond anything she had imagined. The workshops expanded from her small community to cities across the country, offering opportunities to thousands of children who might never have had access to such programs. The success wasn't just measured in numbers, but in the impact it had on the kids. Stories of students discovering new passions, excelling in school, and even pursuing careers in technology and the arts began to pour in. Through it all, she never forgot how it all started, with a simple conversation and a single act of kindness from Meghan Markle. Whenever she was asked about her journey, she was quick to give credit to Meghan, describing her not just as a supporter, but as a mentor who had believed in her when no one else did. "She didn't just give me money," the young woman would often say in interviews. "She gave me hope, and she showed me that one person really can make a difference." The story of Meghan's generosity continued to inspire people around the world. Online, the viral videos of their interaction became a symbol of the power of mentorship and the importance of lifting others up. It wasn't just about Meghan's fame or wealth. It was about her willingness to truly listen, to take someone under her wing, and to use her influence to create positive change. Meghan herself remained characteristically humble about the whole ordeal. When asked about it during an interview, she downplayed her role, saying, "I just saw someone with a dream and wanted to help. That's what we're all here for, right? To help each other." She used the opportunity to encourage others to step up and support those around them, emphasizing that even small gestures could make a big difference. The young woman's success story became a rallying cry for aspiring changemakers everywhere. Inspired by Meghan's example, more and more people began to share their own acts of kindness, creating a ripple effect that spread far and wide. Foundations and charities even reported an increase in donations and volunteer sign-ups, all sparked by the story of Meghan's unexpected mentorship. Years later, when the young woman's program had become a global initiative, she and Meghan reconnected at another event. This time, the young woman was the one speaking on stage, sharing her story and encouraging others to chase their dreams. After her speech, she spotted Meghan in the crowd and couldn't help but smile. The two embraced, and in that moment it was clear that their bond had never faded. The young woman had kept her promise. She had paid it forward, and in doing so, she had proven that kindness, when shared, doesn't just grow, it transforms lives. What do you think about Meghan Markle's incredible act of kindness? Have you ever seen someone go out of their way to change someone else's life? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the following video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.